Firstly, how do we know that this is where we went today? What kind of... Sorry? Does anyone recognize that?
Oh yeah, the crayfish.
Yeah, this is where we found the crayfish. Down here somewhere. Yeah. So in a really simplistic way, if I was to just grab this image and put this into my project, what kind of notes could I put in it to justify, to add to, and to bolster my ideas about what I found today?
There's loads of rows.
Sorry?
Loads of rows. You can say a cricket pitch, so it's like it's been.
Yeah, you can put notes on this and say, here's the cricket pitch. This is evidence to show that the area, they didn't want the area being affected by the changing of the river, so it's part of the reason they straightened it. Is there any other evidence that it's been straightened?
You can say that seeing from like where it is like positioned, it should be more like curvy, but it's not, so it's obviously been like something. And then you can see that there's houses around, so it's probably just human. Yeah.
So you can talk about the threat to the pitch of the houses. You can talk about how straight the river is, and as Jenna said, you could even, maybe if you zoomed out a bit, I'm not sure how easy this would be to compare, but if you were to zoom out a bit and follow the river down its path a little bit, and see how meandering it is. In fact, if you could track down the site at Crossways Farm and compare that, then you could see from the air how very different they were, and that would be some good evidence as well. Okay? Now, some very simple things you could do with Google Earth. One of them is this here. This is a place mark. Okay, so you could call it something. Let's call it hammer. River sample or river side, something like that. Okay, and then you can. Yeah. Sorry? Right. So you can talk about this stuff. Right. Now, who was it on this?
Do you know why you're saying
Yeah.
She knows I lost my lunch and my notebook.
Okay. Yeah, that's changed the style of writing.
Yeah, you can't.
Let me see if I can.
Put it in white.
Sorry, what are you going to say? No, I'm looking for something else.
If it's white, if it's crossing it.
The red is a bit different. Yeah, there's a way to change what it looks like. Oh, here.
Isn't that, yeah.
Yeah, here it is. Right. So what you can do here is you can change all these different symbols, airports, camping grounds, all that stuff. But a nice thing you can do is add a custom icon. Okay. Now I don't have one of these at the moment, but you've all taken loads of photographs today when you're out on your hammer and everywhere else. Okay. You could upload one of those pictures. So the image for this site would be your little photograph. And you can click on that photograph and make it big, and you can add text to it and give information about it.
That's really good.
Okay, which is a really simple way of.
That's so clever.
It's very. This is the very scratching the surface barely of what Google Earth can do. But that would be a located resource. That would be something you took, like information you took at the site on the day that is located on a map in the appropriate place. That's a really simple way of doing it. I can't do it now because I don't have a picture of the site, but I'll just show you, and I can change this into a chat thing called yeah, there you go. Okay. So that's, and you can move this around as well, because you're not quite in the right place. So I need to. Now it'll make this, I think, wherever your cursor is.
Yeah, you have to click on like
yeah. Okay, so you would use that to put them exactly where you need it to be. Now there's another function, which is placement polygon at path. This is the one. Okay, so you could say, if you were talking about perhaps your sampling technique, and you're talking about systematic sampling.
Oh, really nice. Thanks for calling.
Right, so once this window's up, you could do something like this and show your path like that. And then afterwards, you could make a bunch of these little pins and stick them in the appropriate places to demonstrate how you do your systematic sampling. Might be a nice addition to your methods as well. Yes?
Would you do all of this in class, or would you do it like at home and you have to remember it and then like, because you can't print it off, can you, and bring it in? I don't think you can.
And it's quite a complex section, which stuff you're allowed to do while you're at home and stuff you're allowed to do in class. Have you got access to laptops? Have you got laptops and things in school?
They have computers, but I don't know.
They have Google.
Yeah.
Okay, it is the kind of thing that most computers will have at home now, or if anyone has one laptop, it will probably come with Google Earth. So you could
We have got Google Earth on some computers.
Yeah,
We do.
Yeah.
Well,
You're going to be doing these 3 sections in school between now and the end of the term and at home over the summer, so there's plenty of time because they're low control. High control is the evaluation and conclusion, and that's after the summer in exam conditions. But if you were sensible, you would try and write that during the summer as like a rough draft.
So it's going to be kind of like a project.
It will be projected.
So you're going to give us.
How long does
so we spoke about this. Right.
It's like, I think it's like 18 minutes. And I'm going to upload it to
There's nothing else.
put it on my website.
And get back to your methods for a moment. And something else you should explain is problems that you came across, okay? And we call these limitations. Have you girls worked with limitations before? So limitations means explaining maybe something that wasn't tremendously efficient or tremendously good about your technique, okay? So when you're talking about your methods, you could also say that, did anyone have trouble with the hydro block, for example?
Yeah.
Yes, we-
No, it's a weed.
Okay, so, yeah, so this gets stuck. If the hydro block gets stuck, and it stops moving, what should you do?
Take it out, start again.
Take it out, start again. So does that actually, think about this, is that actually going to affect your results?
No.
Okay, so what could affect your results? About the thing, yes?
The way we measured it, we had like, I don't know, the thing kept on like flopping about and then like going into the water and we pull it out and then it'd be a different leg wobbling. Yeah.
I was thinking more about the fact that it's slowing down sometimes because of the bits of grit that are inside in the mechanism. Now, if it stops, if it slows down so much that it stops it, like you say, you're just going to take it on and start again. It doesn't affect your results. But if it slows down just enough that you don't notice, are there going to be inaccuracies?
Yeah.
Okay, because you're not going to pick up on those and they will actually come out in your results. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about with limitations. Think about all the pieces of equipment you use. Think about, even if you were using them perfectly well, is there something that could still go wrong? Is there some inaccuracy that could still happen? Okay? And this is a summary example methodology table. You guys have an example of one of these in your book, and there's another one as well. Okay? I think you have an example of one written just to give you an idea of the kind of depth and detail that you need. So somebody here has said, a soil bin was used to measure the soil depth in a quadrat, and this is because digging a hole would be more destructive. So talk about, why you did it that way, why that's better than a different way you could have done it. It's an easy way of justifying what you did. Okay. Sorry? Yeah, it's a perfectly good way of showing how you did your methods. Just make sure that you have no space in this area to go into quite a lot of detail. Some people like to do it at the table, some people don't. Okay? You can also talk about the units you're using, is always a good idea as well. Where you're working in meters, where you're working in centimeters.
Oh, can you put that back for me?
Yeah.
Just a second. Thank you.
Yeah, don't need to take this down. It's just an example of kind of detail. And this person is really good at justifying what they did. So we use the soil bin to measure the depth. That's because it was less destructive than doing it in this way. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with using diagrams and pictures as long as they get your idea across. This person, or you can use photographs. I know you all have loads of photographs of yourselves and your friends carrying things out. Absolutely no reason why you shouldn't include that stuff as part of your methodology to explain what's going on. Something else you can do with your maps is if you were making graphs, maybe pie charts or bar charts, you could cut the map, actually print out the map, cut out your little pie charts or bar charts, and stick them onto the map in the appropriate place. Okay, so that's another way of doing located bar charts, located pie charts, something like that. So you could, if you were comparing all different sites with just one variable, like depth, and your average, you could have an average depth for each one of them, and you could draw it as a bar chart, and cut out the actual bars and stick them on the map in the appropriate places. Okay? Explain the key findings. You'll need results tables as well. This is before you even do your graphs and things like that. Okay? Yeah, draw them out in a way that's clear and concise. All the information has to be there and has to be very obvious what it is. So make sure that everything is titled properly. Well-structured tables show the reader where much of the information came from and how it was collected as well. Okay? Something simple. Simple is usually better. Averages. Are people familiar with these?
Yeah.
Everything means and modes. Yeah, I won't go into it weird. I'll just push on. Field sketches. If anyone did any, I don't think we had time for today. But yeah, if you can remember anything of what was there and you feel that it would be best served as a visual, there's nothing wrong with that. You can use your photographs and annotate those. If you were good at using Photoshop, you can put your photographs into it and stick some text over on top of it. Talk about the river cliffs that we saw. Talk about the slip-off slopes. Talk about the meanders and the Oxbow lakes that helps to add. Talk about I know some people were taking pictures of the artificial banks that were at Concho, things like that. Use a photograph, annotate it in Photoshop or whatever program, even with Paint, you could probably import it and draw some text on top of it. This is what I was talking about with the proportional symbols. So somebody here is measuring possibly the amount of cars that they've seen in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different areas. And all they've done is, these are all different vehicles, they've made pie charts for different vehicles, and they have put them in the right place. Simple, isn't it? You could do it there are various computer programs you could do this in, or there's nothing wrong with just cutting them out and printing them out and sticking them on top. Okay, this is a different program somebody is using. This is Google Maps without the satellite imagery on top of it. Okay, and somebody's drawn their own map and scanned it in. And you can do this kind of stuff too, but if you have time to mess with it. And again, something similar.
Happy Valley.
Yeah, Happy Valley is nice stuff there. Cool. Does that give anyone ideas for things that they could do?
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Does anyone any more information before we start spending a few minutes inputting it into this? Right. If you flip to the middle of this book, and it should look like this. What I might do is remember all the 10 sites I showed you this morning? I said we're only going to go to some of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So this has got all the 10 sites, and you get to put your information into the blank ones. So we've got, and the blank ones here should be Crossways 1, Crossways 2, Avenger Hammer, Gamshaw 1, and Gamshaw 2. Okay. Now you can see how your information is compared to the rest of it, right? You can see how it compares as part of a figure pattern of data. Okay? So Avenger bottom 1, that's the closest site to the source. Okay? And Albury, bottom right, is the furthest away one. So be careful to put your information in the right places, because we didn't do the sites in exactly the same order as they are here. We did most of it backwards. So just make sure that the names are the same. You're putting the information in the right places. You've also got... Yeah, if you have looked at the sedimentation areas, you've got blank ones for Crossways 1, 2, Avenger, and Gamshaw 1 and 2, and also for human interference. Okay? So, can everyone see how the information you're putting in will fit into the larger scheme of things? Okay, so we've got all 10 sites, and we just went to 5 of them. Okay? Yes, we do. Okay, so
Yeah, we can try and do that.
I've got a sheet for that. I'll go up and get it while the get started. Girls, hold on, ladies, calm down. The first thing I want you to know is you need to pay attention to the units. Okay, if it's in meters, you have to write it in meters. Even if your own notes have it in centimeters or something like that, make sure to get that stuff right. Okay. Secondly, for the velocity, you will need to know how to change your seconds into meters per second. Okay, I've got a table for that upstairs. I'll go and make a copy of it. Okay. Will you guys able to get started on that? So I can for a minute.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.